listening to Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Hi.
Hey.
Well, if you listened to last week's episode, then at the end, you heard us tease that we were going to get angry.
We promised you a rant, and you're going to get a rant.
You're going to get one. Because I'm annoyed. And you know what? I've been annoyed about this since this post dropped in June of last year. So I have a list of like podcast ideas, obviously, that I keep. And when we went on hiatus last year, it was like June, right? It was like mid to late June. So this was an idea that I had that I figured, well, you know, if I still am mad about this next year or whenever we come back, I'll pick it up. And guess what? I'm still mad about it. So let me give you the backstory, and I will link to this in the show notes. So if you want to go read this post on Instagram, this whole episode is going to be a rant about one person's Instagram post. Okay?
But that's not as random as it sounds. It's because this post embodies so many cliches and
bad advice
and shoulds that I feel like a lot of us internalize. It just like captures it all in this one post. And so we're going to dismantle it piece by piece.
Yeah. So, okay, I will link to it if you want to go see it. This is a post from Lewis Howes, who is I don't know what you'd call him. I guess he's a personal development guru of some kind. You know, what does he call himself?
I think he's the guy who interviews all the other experts. I mean, I do. I think
Oh, I'm sorry, Kristen. That guy, as if there aren't a million of those guys who have a podcast like us who have a podcast. Okay, anyway. So he's a self-help guru, I guess is what you would call him. He's written a couple of New York Times bestsellers. He hosts like a podcast. He's got 3.4 million Instagram followers. You might follow him. You might like him. This isn't really about him. I don't really like or dislike him. I don't really care.
Yeah,
either
I'm
way.
neutral.
I'm neutral. I don't care. I don't know enough about him to care.
Yeah, I have listened to a couple of his podcasts, and it's he's mostly him interviewing people. So if you like the person he's interviewing, you're going to like the podcast. If you don't, you're probably not. So
yeah, but some people aren't great interviewers. Like some people are really, really good at interviewing, and some people are like,
I would say
whatever.
he's okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay
like,
interviewing.
I'm going to blow you out of the water. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't shock me. Anyway. Okay, so this is a post from June 13th, 2023. And he's posting, now, let me, his caption, he credits that this idea first comes from a man from the early 19th century. I'm like, there's your first problem. Robert Owen is credited as the first person to articulate the 8x8x8 rule, which is, or 8+8+8, however you want to say it. 8 hours of labor, 8 hours of recreation, 8 hours of rest. Now, listen, in the early 19th century, like we're talking even like pre-industrial revolution. I was about to say evolution because I'm so used to talking about evolving. And I'm like, revolution. Yeah, like when children were working in factories, little Irish children going to work for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week or 6 days a week at 10 years old. Yeah, absolutely. Working for 8 hours a day was literally like a mind-blowing piece of progress during that era. So absolutely, like when that man came up with that rule, like so cutting edge people probably fell on the floor.
Right.
You know,
time for recreation.
No.
What does that even mean?
Right. If people aren't working, they can't make money for you. You know, the robber barons didn't love that in the 1800s. Okay, great. So his post is an updated 2023 version of how to live by this. Okay, are we ready? I'm going to read it. Okay, I'm just going to read it, and then we're going to go back and dissect it piece by piece. Okay. Distribute your day, 24 hours, into 8 plus 8 plus 8 hours to make a good balance sheet of your life. 8 hours of hard work. Put a pin in that. You know I'm coming back to it. And you know which word I'm coming back to. 8 hours of good sleep. Actually, I'm not going to hate on this. I'm not upset about sleeping. Okay.
Agreed.
Well,
agreed. I'm like, can we make it 8.5, 9? I mean,
right. What about 9 or 10? If anything, let's sleep more. Okay.
8 and minimum.
8 hours should be spent broken down into 3 main segments. Now, I know this is going to get complicated, which is why it might help you to actually go look at the post, but I'm going to try to explain it to you. Does it annoy me that each of these segments he's allotted 3 hours for, which adds up to 9 hours, not 8? Yes. But it's like 2 hours and change. I get it. Whatever. 2 hours and change should be spent.
Complicated math, but that's fine.
On 3 core areas. 3 F's, family, friends, faith. 3 H's, health, hygiene, hobby, and 3 S's, soul, service, and smile. Okay. The 8 plus 8 plus 8 rule is a powerful reminder to prioritize our time for work, rest, and personal growth. Finding balance in these areas is essential for success and well-being. What do you think?
Well,
Lewis,
we're going to tell you.
Glad you asked.
We're going to tell you what we think about that.
All right.
Let's go back to the beginning.
Exactly. Wow, we are saying the same thing at the same time. Okay, let's go back to the first 8 hours of hard work.
You know, we already hate the word hard. Why are we throwing the word hard in front of work? Why does it have to be? I mean, again, are we laborers who are physically trying to exercise our bodies at work and make sure that we're getting our heart rates up? Like, do we want extra stress in our life? What is the value of making it hard work? Now, if you wanted to call it
work,
I mean, you could just call it work.
You could call it obligatory time spent earning money in the capitalist system you happened to be born into and that you are required to participate in if you have not won the lottery or have a trust fund.
That would be the most accurate way to describe it.
Not as catchy, but more accurate.
You could also call it ways or time spent trading your talents and your contributions for money to pay for the other areas of your life. You could do that if you wanted to be a little bit more optimistic about it. But calling it hard work, I know. We're trying to make it a snippy little Instagram post, and I know he's trying to say, like really pour yourself into it, right? But that it's so
masculine,
underscoring this whole concept. So it's a formula. It is literally a formula. We have to break down exact hours in the day for all these different buckets. There's no feminine energy in this entire concept. So especially in this hard work piece, but really in the whole or overarching thing, which is my biggest complaint.
My biggest complaint, which we can get back to this, is that this whole post reads like it was written by a man who owns his own business and has no children, which is true.
Correct.
He is all of those things, right?
Correct. I guarantee you, I only looked at a few comments, but I guarantee you, if you really scroll through the comments, you would get a lot of feedback.
They're all women who are like, this is tone deaf. And I'm like, I agree. And I'm going to do a whole podcast episode about how fucking tone deaf this is. Okay. Yeah. Hard work. This whole thing is hyper masculine. And the reason I felt the need to have a whole podcast episode about this is because I want to shine a light on the fact that this is the kind of shit, well-meaning shit, but shit nonetheless, to be honest, that gets put in our faces, especially as women, people who value feminine energy and want to have more of it in our lives. We have to hear this shit. And we have to look at this and go, wow, this is profound personal development advice from a man who has lots of money and his own business and no children. Like, wow, that's incredibly unrelatable for most of the people who are reading that, you know?
Right.
And this is the kind of stuff that we have to listen to and we have to see, and that books get written about. And because I don't like that, I feel the need to remind you that you don't have to see shit like this. This is just an example of so much unconsciously under the surface, the kinds of things you are picking up on all of the time that you don't have to accept. That is why I'm mad about this. It's because it's not just this post. It's the fact that this is a theme. This is a pattern. This is something we're going to be exposed to over and over again. And I have to point it out so that you can decide not to listen to it.
Well, and this post is things we've all heard through our whole lives combined into one succinct little formula to make us feel like, see, all these things were true. Our parents told us, well, work is work. It's supposed to be hard work. You're not supposed to enjoy your work. Or a work day is 8 hours. Can we even talk about that? Why?
Right.
Not only do I hate hard work, I kind of hate even just the word work, frankly, if we are really parsing it out. And I definitely don't think a work day needs to be 8 hours to be a full productive work day and also to pay for your life. Rachel, when's the last time you worked 8 entire hours?
Can't remember.
In a day?
Nope, don't know.
I don't know. And I'm including when I've had jobs. Not even working for myself. I'm talking about working for other people.
I have
8 hours?
I have a former client who told me recently, and this is someone who makes very good money. I'm talking like multiple 6 figures, okay? Not just one, multiple 6 figures, who's now her job ebbs and flows, obviously, like there's more busy seasons but recently she's told me I can get my work done in 20 to 30 hours a week. And in the other time I'm writing. I'm like, so like for those of you who are like, in order to make really good money, you have to work your ass off and you have to work 50 or 60 hours a week. There's one example of someone who is not doing that. And most people I talk to, most people I know, they're not working 8 hours a day every day. They're not doing it because it's physically not super possible to focus for that long and to produce high quality work every day, 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. It's not possible. It's not how we operate for the most part either. Most of us work in bursts, right? Like we can sit down for an hour or two and crank stuff out, and then we need a break, and then we can come back and maybe do it again. I have been saying on this podcast for years that the most I think anyone can reasonably accomplish at a high caliber in a day, obviously it fluctuates depending on who you are and how you're wired, is probably about 4 hours. Mm-hmm. Like if you can churn out 4 hours of high quality work in a day, to me, that is your 8-hour workday.
Absolutely.
Right?
The other 4 hours, what are you doing? You're
on Instagram. You're taking
scrolling
a break.
Through your email. You're
on the toilet. Like
chatting with your coworkers on, your messaging service, whatever. Like you're not really
you're
sitting
in a pointless
down.
meeting, right? Like,
and I heard recently, and the more I think about this, the more it feels true. The message we all got growing up is the harder you work, the more money you make. But if you really actually think about most people, the hardest working people, the people who really are working 8, 9, 10 hours, hard labor, are usually the ones who make the least amount of money.
100%.
And the people who work a few hours a day and then, go play golf or go travel or like those are the people making the most money. So it's not an accurate formula. Hard work is not the answer to making more money. You can find more examples of that not being true than it being true, if you ask me.
You can put in a mediocre caliber of work for 4 hours a day and earn your yearly salary. And in fact, most people I know are doing that. And I'm telling you that as someone who is a career coach, and here's what people are doing in their job all day long. I promise you they're not working 8 hours. Even the people who are really busy, like I have watched Joseph over the past few months and how he works, right? Now he has ADHD and it's untreated. And his job is very stressful and very demanding. And it's kind of like on call all the time, which it shouldn't be. It's a toxic culture for sure, but whatever. I'm like, some days he probably is working 8 hours, but some days I'm like, I know he just sat there on Instagram for like 45 minutes and did nothing. And then I've like been there at times when he was quote unquote working. And I'm like, you're watching a movie with me. And then if someone calls him, he'll pause and answer. And then he'll go back to watching a movie with me. I'm like, he's not working 8 hours a day, every day, nonstop.
Same.
He's just
My husband is one of the most hardworking people I have ever met. And yet at 10 a.m. this morning, he went to the gym and got a workout in the middle of the day. And he'll take as much time as he wants for lunch. And then he'll get on a call. It's just
if you added it up, he's not working 8 hours.
No,
he's not.
No, but when he's working, he's really focused and he's like really getting it done. But it's probably not a solid 8 hours a day. Or if it is, that is not every day.
Definitely
some days it's 4 hours, some days it's 8 hours, some days it's 6 hours. But it's the idea, and the reason I'm harping on this time thing is because I know I've coached enough people over the years to know that this 8-hour workday idea is so ingrained in all of our brains that there is so much guilt people feel when they work less that they will end up sitting at their computer, not really having anything to do, feeling
wasting their
too
damn
guilty,
life.
And they won't go spend that time taking a walk or go pick up their kid from school in the middle of the afternoon.
Take a longer lunch. Make a nicer meal for yourself in the middle of the day.
So this idea is stealing time from people every day
harmful.
Because it's a should. I should work an 8-hour day if I have a full-time job. And the other things, which we're, according to this formula, trying to cram in 9 different things into
in 8 hours
other area, then we could give some of that time that we think we need to be working to the things that we actually probably care a lot more about. So,
oh my God, how funny would it be, Kristen, if I reposted all of this and I just edited it? Like I crossed off in red ink 8 hours and I wrote 3. And then instead of hard work, I crossed off hard and I write work ?
Like, oh, let's please do that.
I know, right? Fun. Like, no, I have some edits. Some copy edits for you.
This is the feminine energy version of this.
Yeah. So of course, but okay. Yes. Back to our obsession with the 8-hour workday and the like guilt that people feel for not adhering to it. It is cultural conditioning. Okay. It is cultural conditioning that it is arbitrary. We made it up. The reason you think you should feel guilty for not wanting to work 8 hours a day or not having enough to do or whatever is because we were told to be grateful for only having an 8-hour workday. Because at one point in human history, especially again, when we're talking about like industrial revolution era, we're talking about assembly line type work, we're talking about factory work. There were very few laws and regulations around work, and people were being forced to work 12 to 14 hours a day. And it was terrible. And then eventually, like labor unions and those types of laws and ethics and, children can't be in factories, all of that stuff started to happen. And so, the 8-hour workday became something that people really fought for, which I'm grateful that they fought for that, right? But then I feel like this insidious thing happened where it's like, well, you should be grateful for that. You should be grateful it's not 12 to 14 hours. And I'm like, well, that was 150 years ago. I'm like, it's 2024, bitch. Like, I'm ready to work only a 4-hour workday. I think an 8-hour workday is abusive.
Here.
We need more regulations. This is abusive. And I laugh, but I genuinely kind of feel like that because it's just not necessary. Do you know what I mean? Like what I think is abusive is forcing people to work in a system that may or may not actually align with their style of work and also how much time they genuinely need to get the job done. Like, let people take however much time they need to get the job done. And if they're doing a good job with what it is you've asked them to do, who cares if it takes them 20 hours a week or 25 hours or 40 hours a week to do it? Like,
right. Factory work did require an actual amount of time because the machines and the products would not get made if you cut your time. But most of us are not in that kind of a scenario anymore. We have a certain amount of work that we need to complete. And I think, and I do think some employers are moving more to this system, but it's too slow, if you ask me. Your work is accomplished in the time that you accomplish it. And if that is, to me, it's like 40 hours is the absolute maximum. That's like the container that you have to get your work done. And if you get it done,
that's like if everything goes wrong. You had to work 40
or the
hours.
busiest week of your entire year.
Should be 40 hours.
Maybe you get, you have that container in case you need it. But if you don't need it, you don't need to use it.
Yeah.
Because you got the work done that you're getting paid to do. It's about results. It's not about sitting in a chair. Okay. Did we beat that one? Beat that horse to this?
I haven't yet killed the patriarchal mindset that pervades American society, but I'm gonna keep trying. Okay, so the next one is 8 hours of good sleep. I'm not gonna argue with that.
Yeah.
No
real complaints about this one.
No,
And
I think we should prioritize
people
sleep.
Need less. Like, I think we should give 8 solid hours. And if you're the kind of person, I know of some people who they really need like 9 hours.
More than that. Yeah.
To function really at their optimum. If that's you, great.
Take it.
Do not feel bad about that. But I do think
steal an hour from work. Don't steal an hour from the other stuff. Steal an hour from work to do that. Give yourself 9 hours.
Yep. So yeah, 8 hours minimum, good sleep. I approve of that. Not a lot of complaints for this segment.
Okay, great. Now, let's break down. No, this is going to be hard. Okay, so the last 8 hours are broken down into 3 chunks. Now he says 3 hours each. I'm like, okay, dude, that adds up to 9. Whatever. 2 hours and change each. Fine. Whatever. 2.5 hours each. Cool. 2 hours and 40 minutes each. I think that's the math. Yeah, that math adds up. Okay. The first 3 are F: family, friends, and faith. So I love how many working moms are like, are you effing kidding me?
I'm going to get all my family time in. So what is that?
1 hour.
Each? Not even. About 50 minutes or so.
40. Right? I don't know. Like
45. It's probably some weird specific number.
Whatever.
Okay, children, you get 47 minutes of my day, and then the rest of the day, fend for yourselves. I have all these other things to focus on.
When do you cook? When do you clean?
Good
I mean, does that count in health and hygiene?
Health. Yeah.
No, but what about working out? Because that's working out. You can't work out and cook for a family of 4.
And then actually eat that food.
And then clean up after that food. Does that count as hygiene? You only have an hour for hygiene.
Smile?
What the fuck?
There's a whole category for smile. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's what you actually
get back to that. It's just this whole thing. I just want to burn it. It's terrible. Okay. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. I'm laughing so hard about how stupid this is. Okay. So
that's also, I don't know a lot of women who have only like a 45-minute, shower, do your hair.
Right? Again,
like
a man wrote this. A man wrote this.
And what about the days when you need to actually wash your hair and shave your legs? I mean, like, that's a whole process. Hygiene some days is going to take a lot more time.
What about bathing your children?
Oh, well, their hygiene has to fit into their own 47 minutes. They don't get their own hygiene bucket.
I'm sorry, toddler. Wash your damn self. I don't have time to wash you.
Or what, do you throw the toddler in the shower with you so you get like the hygiene for both of you in the same bucket?
Time and the smile.
Oh God.
It's just so
well, you know what's so on the surface, just overall looking at this is ridiculous, is you're assuming everyone's situation is the same. But you're also assuming, even if everyone's situation were the same, even if everyone were a wealthy single man with no kids, that still assumes everyone's value system is the exact same. We're all, because these are all values. Your family, your friends, your health, your hygiene, your soul, your faith, all of that. They're all things that we value, and they don't necessarily deserve the same amount of time, especially not every single day.
Not every day. I get that his biggest comeback to this, which would be pretty lame and easy for me to be like, nah, is, well, it's a blueprint. You can make it your own, which, like, sure, I get it. You're advocating for balance. We each have to define what balance means for us. I still think this is tone deaf, and I still think you literally have no idea how most women live their lives, especially those with children, because no one who like spends a lot of time with women who have children would write this and think that it made any sense. Like none. Again, this is for men who don't have children and have money.
Okay. Men who have children.
That's not going to work. Children are reading this and going,
hopefully men are not giving their children only, 45 minutes of their day each day.
Also, I'm sorry, where's sex?
That's probably Smile. A Smile.
You hope.
You would hope.
Yeah.
Hobby? Is that family, friend?
Is it faith? You practicing a little tantra?
Your soul. Maybe it's your soul category.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know.
Oh God. It's okay. So an hour a day for your family makes no effing sense if you actually have one.
If you have a theoretical family, maybe.
Yeah, if you have if you have parents who are dead and you have a brother in Indianapolis you see once a year, that makes too much sense. You don't need an hour for your family.
Indianapolis is very
I don't know. I'm thinking California, Indianapolis. He doesn't see them, but once or twice a year for Christmas. Maybe he's banking all those family hours every day and he's just spending 2 weeks at Christmas and it's all family and all Smile all the time. But if you have a family, as in you are someone who has partnered with another human and you have created your own family, and in that family are small children and dogs or cats, you are not going to spend an hour a day with those people. Your obligations to those people will far exceed an hour. And that is insane to suggest otherwise.
Speaking of pets, as someone with 3 dogs at the moment, they already take up more than 45 minutes a day. So, and they're not even a category. There's no category for pets. I'd have to rename Smile into pets, and they still would take up more time than they're allotted.
Your family, your pets literally have to account for family.
So my husband gets nothing because the pets have to take it all.
And friends. And service, because you have to be of service to them, right?
Sure.
Your volunteer work is those dogs. Right?
That's it.
Okay. So it just doesn't make sense. All of these things every day make absolutely no sense. An hour a day with friends? When?
Right.
Where?
Yeah. Who gets to do that as adults?
Does that mean, does the hour a day I spend on Voxer count?
Maybe.
Talking to friends? Okay, fine. I get it.
Texting
we should be trying to connect with our friends every day. Okay. I still think that's a really, really, that's a lot of pressure to put on a person. To have to do these things every single day, all of these things, is a lot of pressure. And it puts a lot of expectation on us that I just don't think is reasonable. I really wish that I could see our friend Stacy in person more often. And unfortunately, in the past year, I probably saw her 4 times.
I know.
And she lives 30 minutes away.
And that's a normal adult story of friendship, unfortunately. Now, don't get me wrong, I would still hate this formula. I just hate the idea of a formula for a balanced life in general. So I would still have many, many complaints, but I would be slightly less ranty if the formula was over a week or maybe over a month. So this many hours.
I would too, because it would be more feminine, Kristen, because instead of measuring it by the day, which is inherently super effing masculine, if you measured it by the month, it would be inherently way more feminine, because our hormonal cycle is on a monthly cycle and the male hormonal cycle is on a daily cycle. And of course, if he knew women more, he would probably be aware of that.
Right. So if you had in that much, much bigger container a blank number of hours for working within a month, and some days you work more and some days you work less, but it overall balances out. Okay, right? We've got some flexibility there. Same for some days are going to be days where you just spend the whole day with your family and nothing else really matters. Some days you're going to spend more time on service or on health. I still don't like the idea of bucketing everything. So I still want to throw the whole thing out, but at least I can stomach it better if we don't make this every single day, because that makes no sense. That assumes every day looks the same. And for most people I know, that is just blatantly untrue.
No. Again, it makes sense. If you are someone who, because of your privilege, is able to craft the exact life every single day that you want to live, then this makes sense. The fact that 99.9% of people can't relate to that means that this post is for only the rich single men who you're writing it for, you know? Anyway, okay. So I don't know that we need to go through each and every one of these, but like, again, it's ridiculous to think you can only spend an hour a day on family. Like, what?
Completely ridiculous.
An hour a day on friends is never going to happen as an adult. And while we should be prioritizing our friends when we can, an hour a day is absolutely insane, especially for people who have to, participate in the aforementioned structure that enables us to survive, wherein they trade their time for money to some degree. Okay, an hour a day for friends ain't going to happen. When you also have to spend an hour a day on faith, I'm like, listen, God, it's not that demanding.
But there's also an hour a day for soul, which I'm like, what if I interpret that as the same thing?
What is the difference between faith and soul? That's a great question. And to that point, what's the difference between soul and smile? Because I think the things that feed your soul also probably make you smile.
Or smile and hobby. Both are fun things that you do.
Don't hobbies make you smile? Really, we're only saying that. I think we should trade smile for sex, to be honest.
I mean, I think that could make sense. You should be smiling about that.
And that's a way better use of an hour, if you're going to ask me. But also completely unrealistic for the average working person. Every day, an hour on that?
I know.
Talk about UTIs.
And not necessary. You know
it's not necessary. It's really not. But like,
I think smile was his catch-all. He just wanted another S word. And so it was like, anything else that I haven't thought about, we're just going to throw in this generalized bucket of smile. But some things that you're going to fit into that extra time, like I saw a lot of people commenting, where is my commuting time?
Exactly. Where's my vegetable chopping time? Am I supposed to be listening to a podcast during that time that makes me smile?
Where's my chores around the house? Where do I get cleaning and laundry in? That's not necessarily going to be smiling.
Is that service? Am I doing my children a service? Am I being of service to them when I am doing their effing laundry? Like, is that what is happening?
You probably meant that like serving your community or some kind of giving of yourself.
Oh my God, I'm just so amazed.
Well,
okay, so
then we need to cut down on work time. I just hate that.
Yes.
A third of your day is work. And then the other third is 85 million different things that we're supposed to cram in. Just that whole concept just chafes me every time I hear like fit your life around your work.
Okay. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to try my very best to do this, right? Let's try. The alarm goes off at 6 a.m. Okay.
Okay.
We have an hour for our health and our hygiene. Okay. So I'm thinking that we work out for like 30 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
And then we
make like a smoothie or something.
We make a smoothie.
We got to fit some kind of healthy breakfast in that 45 minutes.
Right. But we like 15 minutes to make that smoothie. And then we got to wash that blender because we have to count for time that we have to spend washing things. Okay. Okay.
So they got you make a smoothie because now you can drink it while you're doing another activity. If you actually sat down and ate like an omelet or something, then you're already over your time.
Yeah. Over budget. Running late.
You might have to drink all your meals, actually. You might just need to like liquefy everything.
Okay. So we're an hour. Let's say that we're now an hour in. Okay. And we've worked out. We have spent no time dilly-dallying. Absolutely none. We've peed, we've worked out, we've made a smoothie, and it's 7 a.m. and we're in the shower. Now, if you're a woman,
right. So now your health bucket is done for the day. You got nothing else.
You got nothing else in your health bucket. Like, God forbid you take a walk. Nope, can't. Moving on. Time to shower. And as a woman, now it is time. Like, it's one of those days.
There are days I can do it in 45 minutes, but there are days when I cannot.
It's a day where you're hairy and you can't, and you don't want to be hairy.
And you got to wash your hair. And style your hair. And makeup.
And put on makeup. You are lucky if you are done with all of that at 8 a.m. There's no way. If someone asked me to do it, if someone said, I will give you $1 million to do a full shave, a full body wash, a full hair wash, dry your hair, style your hair, put on makeup, and don't skimp. Put on like an actual complete face of makeup and then pick out an outfit and put it on, I would not be able to make $1 million. in an hour.
That, or you would find like
do it.
patches of hair on my legs that just didn't. I mean, my hair would still be a little bit damp, but it would be like somewhat blow dried. I mean, it would be, if you gave me $1 million, it'd be close, but it would not be perfect.
Okay, so it's 8 a.m. It's time to work.
But you realized we're already over budget because we have 9 hours to fit into 8. So we don't even have these full hours for each one of these.
That's so true. Oh my God. I'm stressing. Okay. So it's 8 a.m. now and we have to work. Okay. So we've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. So technically we're done at 4 p.m. Okay. So we work.
That's no lunch.
Work.
There's no lunch in there.
I know. So actually
most days are 9 hours because they give you an hour lunch. I know.
What are we gonna
but
eat?
We have to we're going to eat another liquid meal, of course.
Well, we can't. We have to take time to do that. Okay.
No, you have to order a Grubhub smoothie.
Oh, okay. Okay. So while we're working, which is technically cheating because we're taking time away from working, we are ordering food, which is like, okay, why are we ordering lunch every day? Because we're going to have to do this for dinner too. But okay. We're ordering food on Uber Eats and it is delivered. And so we're eating it while we're in a meeting. Okay. So that counts as working. Okay. Yeah. So we didn't lose any time for that, even though maybe the Uber Eats guy got lost trying to find our house, which happens to me every time. Okay. So now it's 4 p.m. It's 4 p.m. and we're done for the day. Okay.
We don't commute. You better be home. You better be working from home because you have no time to commute.
We woke up at 6 a.m., which means we have to go to bed at 10. So we've got 6 hours, 4. We got to spend an hour with our family. Okay. So
if you have to commute, maybe you call a friend on the drive home and you try to knock out that friend time. That counts.
How about we spend 30 minutes on the commute, 4 to 4:30, we're talking to our friend. Okay. From 4:30 to 5, we're praying because girl, you got to work on your faith somehow. Okay.
And that's only 30 minutes. It should have been 45, but we got to.
It was a really long commute today. Okay, whatever. It was
30 minutes. We're at 5 o'clock.
We're at 5 o'clock. Okay. So now we're going to hang out with our husband for an hour while we chop vegetables and we cook together and we eat. Okay. And
okay, so we're cooking, eating, and probably cleaning up.
How about we steal an hour from Smile too? Because then we can smile while we cook dishes together. 6:30. We're now at 6:30. Okay. We're done eating. We've hung out with our husband. We've smiled while we did chores. And now it is 6:30. Okay. So now you're going to go, because you're a really good person, and you're going to go volunteer because you have to spend an hour a day doing service. Okay.
But you can only, that has to include the drive. Because we got to get back to all the other things.
We got to go to an animal shelter and it's 15 minutes away.
You only give it 30 minutes.
Okay. So
you have to drive for 30 minutes.
One sad dog gets a walk at the animal shelter. Okay. So you're back by 7:30, but now it's time for your hobby. Okay.
Okay.
And so from 7:30 to 8:30, we're going to do a hobby. What's our hobby?
We're going to be knitting something. You're learning how to knit.
Great.
We're playing the piano. Maybe you play an instrument.
Perfect. We're playing the piano. Okay. So now it's 8:30. We're done with our hobby. We have an hour and a half until it's time to go to bed. Okay. We still have not worked on we have 30 more minutes.
That's what we said. The smile was text. You got 30 minutes for that, which I guess also counts.
Oh, wait, no, but
with your husband.
Okay.
Or your partner. Hold on, but then we didn't talk about soul.
I know. Okay, so it's 8:30, and we have Smile and Soul left. And you know what? F it. Because you're going to watch Queer Eye, and you're going to do that for an hour, because that fills your soul, and it makes you smile. And it also kind of makes you cry. Okay?
Yeah, that's
and also, it's not realistic that you wouldn't have any time for Netflix during this day. Okay?
Absolutely not.
So
we're not cutting that out.
And so from 9:30 to 10, you have to do hygiene again. You have to give it more time because you have to take all that fucking makeup off.
Oh, no.
And you have to wash your face.
Again, a man forgot that you get ready, but then you got to get unready at the end of the day.
How realistic is it that 30 minutes you can actually take off all of those clothes and all of that face? And we didn't even account for changing after work to go volunteer at the animal shelter, because certainly you wouldn't be wearing the same outfit.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Think about that.
Right. And then what about reading a book before bed? I guess we got to take 15 minutes out of Queer Eye to at least let you decompress by reading a book.
That means you don't even do the ending. That's the best part.
I know.
You can't miss the ending.
But we can't. We have to follow the man's formula.
Oh, no.
Okay. Nowhere in there.
I am so stressed just thinking about
your
this
husband
perfect
didn't.
day.
Your husband didn't get laid today.
I thought there was a little bit of smile time at the end. No, we ran out of time. We ran out of time. Sorry.
We're at 10 p.m. now. We're at 10 p.m. Yeah. It's time to go to bed. We got to start the whole thing over again. Okay. So, I mean, we barely made it. I feel stressed. We did make it. We did do it. And you know what? That's not a terrible day. You did a lot. You fit in a lot. You know, eating lunch out every single day is not ideal, but you know what? And in there somewhere, I guess you were hydrating the whole time. Like you were taking time away to drink water while you were working.
Hopefully, and run to
the fridge really quick and back and like get your water. That is if you're working from home. I mean, God
we didn't even include pee breaks.
No, anything like that. That's part of hygiene.
You didn't get any outside time.
Yeah, you did because you walked the dog for 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. All right.
At the volunteering, which also counts as health a little bit. Like it's overlapping with health.
Okay. That's a good point too. What happens if things overlap? Do you get an extra hour in the day if you overlapped two things? Or do you have to give each a solid hour?
I don't know, but I do know that if you had children, this whole thing would be fucked.
Of like any age, by the way, of any
age, this is fucked.
Like you got to give up. I mean, at that point, what do you even get? Because you have to give up something big. You can't give up one of these categories because your kids are going to need many
hobbies.
Hours.
Haha, hygiene. LOL.
Bye smile. Well, bye soul.
Your baby might smile at you, and then you might go, oh, you know.
What if you have like a 13-year-old?
No, then I'm never smiling at you. Watch out. It'll be years before you get a smile out of them ever again. I mean, this is just it's barely doable for a woman without children. Barely doable for a woman without children. Impossible for a woman with children. I'd say impossible for a man with children. Yes. Anybody with children. This is impossible.
I would say
in my scenario
for anyone with an 8-hour workday period, to be honest with you.
Even pets, because I'm like, she went to the animal, this person, and okay, I don't know who she is. She went to the animal shelter to walk a dog. She clearly doesn't have her own dog who would need walking. So she can't volunteer.
More than once a day. Right. Many times a day.
More than once a day. I've got a dog outside my door right now who's annoyed with me for not taking her outside yet. Mm-hmm. That'll be my service. I have 3 dogs that I will go walk as soon as I'm done with this. And I walked them as soon as right before we started. All right.
It's a never ending thing.
Like, you guys get it,
then if you have pets and kids, then it's just.
So, like, let's just sum up here by saying this man really thinks he did something. You know? This is why the Barbie movie got made.
Exactly. What's frustrating is that I genuinely believe that he or I'm not trying to pick on this one particular guy because I think that there's a whole subset of people.
I'm an underdog. I can pick on him. It doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean?
But it's like he's not the only one who believes this. You know what I mean? This is
indicative of a systemic thinking.
Exactly. They really think that they're being helpful, right? Like, oh, balance is important. So let me help you make the formula for balance. And what they've really done is create so much stress for people to try to figure out how the hell am I supposed to actually live that way? And what if my life requires me to have wildly different balances of time? That it makes people feel like they're doing it wrong. And so by trying to be helpful, you've actually put a lot of shame onto people that was never necessary. Yeah. And that is actually doing the exact opposite of what you were hoping, which was to give people more balance. Now you've just given them more stress and pressure.
I agree. Let me read a few of the comments sort of as we're wrapping up here, because I think the people in the comments said it best. Well, I think we said it pretty well, but let's hand them the mic too. Where do you put daily stuff like cooking, washing, cleaning, being on the road to and from work or the gym, etc.? Great point. Obviously. So that's great for men in the 1900s. What about today's women who work full-time, do the majority of the domestic labor at home and child rearing? Yeah.
Yep.
What about?
Mic drop to that woman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Except that between getting ready, a commute, and the fact that companies hold you captive for lunch, the hard work is at least 11 hours. Mm-hmm. Agreed. Hard agree. While I appreciate this kind of advice, I also find it impractical and not grounded in reality. I'd also imagine it's pretty difficult for the average person, particularly those with kids or commutes or multiple jobs, to get anywhere close to this. I'd say on average, I have an hour to myself per day. And by that point, I'm too exhausted to do anything.
Exactly.
Agreed.
So well said.
Oh, and I really like this one. I understand the spirit behind this post, and I believe the spirit behind it is balance and wellness. I also think it reeks of white Anglo-Saxon Protestantism, and it is a little tone deaf. It is so waspy. Thank you, Cassandra, who wrote that. Like, sounds good on paper. I don't see sex or relationship on the list. Nowhere on it is housework. Do you cook? Meals from scratch are 1 to 2 hours, including cleanup. Do you make your bed? Great point. Shower, get dressed for work. I think he's not thinking that that's hygiene. Showering is hygiene, sir. The guy who's writing this. When do you tidy up the house? Like, there's so much missing, is what he's saying. Yes, there's a lot missing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is for people who have like a full staff at home, like a house staff. So they have somebody who cleans their home, who prepares their meals, who cleans up after their meals, who takes care of their kids. So yeah, if you had a staff of people helping you run your daily maintenance at home, then by all means live according to this formula.
Someone else wrote, okay, so 8 hours of sleep plus in her realistic accounting of her time, 2 hours in the morning to get myself ready for the day, which includes getting my children and animals ready for the day. That's 10 hours. Okay. So then we're going to add another 10 hours for commute and work. That's already 20 hours. Then I've got 4 hours for kids and their extracurricular activities, dinner, cleanup, and a bedtime routine. That's it. That's literally it. If I wanted to squeeze in the gym and some Netflix, I would have to lose 2 hours of sleep. Yes. And we're not even talking about the friends or the smiling.
So you know what? At the core of this, my real complaint is that work is taking up way too damn much time in everyone's day.
And driving to and from, right?
That's the real culprit. No wonder it feels like there's only a little bit of time left in the margins for everything else you're trying to fit in. That's what this formula, I think, is actually revealing.
Yeah. Great in theory, but completely unrealistic in regards to parenting small children for basically a decade or more. And
then when you get older children, then your time is spent Ubering them around everywhere.
Maybe you could explain to a full-time working mom how to achieve this in a society that doesn't prioritize maternity leave or childcare.
Amen.
Amen. And we're going to end on that.
So if you feel like it's been really hard to do all the things that you wanted to do in a day or in a week or even in a month, welcome.
Everyone agrees. It's hard.
You're in good company. And this formula is not going to solve that problem for you. I'm sorry to say. This is the human experience. So what we're advocating is, when possible, steal back some of your work time.
Yeah.
And
that's my solution.
Decide in the time that you do have for yourself where your actual values and priorities lay. You don't have to prioritize all of these things equally. If you prioritize your health to a really high degree and you want to make really healthy meals,
spend 3 hours doing that.
You want to exercise a lot and be outside a lot, you can give that way more time than the other ones. Or if you really prioritize your family or a certain phase of life that you're in with your family that it requires way more time, give that. And other things might go by the wayside for a little while, and that's okay. Okay.
The only viable solution is to work less. That's it. That's my takeaway. And I know some of y'all are going to be like, it's not possible. To a degree, that might be true, but I've coached enough people, like Kristen said, who have so much guilt about not, quote unquote, putting in their 8 hours when it genuinely does not take them that long to do their work. What I am saying is to take the amount of time it actually takes you to do your job. And if it's only 5 hours a day, you just bought yourself back 3 hours. That is so invaluable. Take the time it actually takes you to do your job, no more, and get your life back. That's how we make the accounting of this work.
Also, if you have the kind of job where there are no boundaries and your work is stealing some of that other time, it's spilling into your weekends, or you're getting calls really early in the morning or on the weekend, you're not going to feel like you can. But I'm telling you, I have coached a lot of people into putting sustainable boundaries in place around your work.
Yeah, it's
because
possible.
Your time off, think about all the things we just talked about. You're trying to fit in outside of working hours. If you're also distracted because you feel like you need to be checking your email or checking your texts in that time, you're never going to get any of it done. Mm-hmm. So that time is sacred. You're already trying to fit too much in. You cannot be letting work steal your extra time or your brain space. So weekends are sacred. Evenings are sacred. Protect the time.
If you need a good normal person interview about someone who was struggling with that and then really did a 180, go back to February's normal person interview and listen to that with Mary Cardenas, because she was in that boat and she really turned it around. You just need inspiration. Okay, well, here we go. Once again, like you and I are, I mean, it's become our thing over the years. Like we are hardcore here to advocate for a more feminine way of working and for dispelling some of the nonsense that comes out of the hyper-masculine way of working that has pervaded this society for far too long and is completely out of whack. I hope you guys laughed, because I really laughed. I haven't laughed that hard in a little bit. So taking this down was actually quite joyful. And you know what, Kristen? Friend time, check. Smile time, check. Being of working. Check. Guess what? Working, check. We just worked.
I mean, if you can fit smile,
being of service, I was just of service. Check.
I mean, we just bought back so many hours today. I feel great.
Yeah, I feel so great. I just checked so many boxes. And you know what? Now I'm going to go check the dog box. Oh, there isn't one. Well,
sorry.
I'll fit it into health, I guess. I might do a hygiene shower later today.
But you better fit it into those 47 minutes.
Oh, it's not going to be one where I remove any of the hair. It's not, I don't have time for that. The budget does not account for it today. All right. Anyway. All right, you guys. I hope you find this as stupid and ridiculous and also entertaining as we did making it for you.
Hopefully it's a little bit freeing. If you feel like you're not fitting it all in, none of us are. We're doing the best we can.
Yeah. And just work less. Okay.
Our ever-present mantra.
Yeah. Work as little as you humanly can.
All right. So we will be back next week.
Yeah, next week. Message from the universe.
Oh, great. Fun. Yeah. Okay. We'll look forward to that. We'll see you then.
All right. Bye.